exactly am I looking at here?
So this is an original Canadian theater-used one-sheet movie poster for the 1980 Stanley Kubrick classic, The Shining.
Yeah, I know that. Why is it yellow?
Right! Why is it yellow? Good question.
Why is it yellow and whose face is that?
To tell the story of this movie poster, I have to tell the story of two absolute masters of their craft that decided to work together. Renowned film director Stanley Kubrick
figure it out.
And world-famous graphic designer Saul Bass.
Simple, direct ideas.
The word auteur describes a filmmaker whose individual style and complete control over all elements of production give a film its personal, unique stamp. This applies completely to the work of Kubrick, layering his films with rich visual details, arresting cinematography, and dark humor. When you watch a Kubrick film, you know it. It just feels different, set apart, and certainly not for everyone, as during his lifetime, Kubrick garnered a large amount of negative reviews, in addition to his adulation. Famed film critic Pauline Kael famously disliked his work, and her views were not likely to change with Kubrick's next project, a film adaptation of Stephen King's third novel, The Shining. Kubrick was sent King's manuscript, then called The Shine, on July 29, 1976, and called it
compulsive reading. I thought the plot, ideas, and structure were much more imaginative than anything I've ever read in the genre.
He began jotting down ideas, visual cues, and character notes in the margins of King's yet-to-be-published manuscript. He spent the next 2 years in pre-production, writing the script alongside novelist Diane Johnson. Cameras started rolling in May of 1978. A noted perfectionist, Kubrick often demanded multiple takes of the same scene, as high as 30 or 40, sometimes more, which could be hard on actors and crew. Actress Shelley Duvall was famously put through the emotional ringer, and actually spoke with Kubrick's daughter Vivian, who was shooting a behind-the-scenes documentary about the making of The Shining.
So I resented Stanley at times because he pushed me, and it hurt. I thought, why do you want to do this to me? How can you do this to me? And it's just the necessary turmoil to get out of it what you want out of it. I mean, we had the same end in mind, and I find I really respect him. He's taught me more than I've learned on all the other pictures I've done.
The film shoot was originally planned for 6 months, but due to production delays with an injury to Jack Nicholson, a burned-down set, and mostly due to Kubrick's slavish attention to detail, the film shoot actually took almost a full year, lasting from May 2nd, 1978 to April 5th, 1979.
Get a lot written today?
Yes.
Back during pre-production in January of 1978, Kubrick spoke with illustrator Robert Giusti about creating some title treatments for The Shining. The resulting sketches weren't really to Kubrick's liking, so he decided to reconnect with a famed collaborator, graphic designer Saul Bass. Bass had worked with Kubrick on his 1960 film Spartacus, creating the opening titles. Bass was famous for his title sequences.
At one point, it occurred to me that the title could make a more significant contribution to the storytelling process.
Bass even storyboarded and helped create the famed shower sequence in Psycho. He also worked as a commercial graphic designer, creating several well-known logos that are still in use today. He favored negative space, bold, solid colors, visual simplicity, and fluid movement. His work was always impactful, relatable, and carried a simple message. So during filming of The Shining, Kubrick reached out to Saul Bass to secure his services. He was really curious what kind of vision he would bring to the eerie subject matter that is The Shining. It seems that Bass wasn't given a script or any production photographs to work off of, but instead took direct inspiration from Stephen King's novel. On September 8th, 1978, 5 weeks into production on the film, Bass sent Kubrick 5 conceptual sketches along with the following letter.
Dear Stanley, here are the 5 designs that have surfaced out of the work done since I returned. I am excited about all of them, and I could give you many reasons why I think they would be strong and effective identifiers for the film. But the one I think is strongest is number 1. It's provocative, scary, and emotional. What do you think? Best regards, Saul Bass.
Can I just say, the fact that Saul Bass signs his name with his face on a bass fish is just charming as hell. Like, that's amazing. Anyway, all of these designs use a method called pointillism, where an image is formed by using a whole bunch of tiny little dots. It was made famous in paintings like George Seurat's Sunday Afternoon. I would agree with Bass that I think design number 1 is the strongest, though I am quite partial to this eye maze. Still, the visual connection between these designs and the film we know doesn't seem especially strong. The Shining is full of bold colors and long lines of force that lead the eye to terrifying visuals. There's a certain mood that these designs fail to capture. 1 month after receiving the 5 concept sketches, Kubrick wrote back to Bass.
Dear Saul, tried to ring you a couple times without success.
Ouch.
Have very little time due to filming. I hope this note will suffice. My reaction to the ads you sent is that they are all beautifully done, but I don't think any of them are right. May I suggest that the way to proceed is to do a great many pencil roughs,
He wrote that in all caps.
so that we can agree on the basic artwork idea before you spend a lot more time bringing a very few ideas to a stage pretty close to a finished piece of art. Best regards, Stanley Kubrick.
Below, Kubrick hand wrote,
P.S. I would like to suggest it is a film of terror, a must, and the supernatural if possible.
Along with the note, Kubrick sent back Bass's concept sketches with the following handwritten feedback. Sketch number 1.
Maze and figures place too much emphasis on maze. I don't think we should use the maze in ads.
Oddly enough, a Reddit user recently posted what appears to be a newspaper ad for The Shining from the UK, where they did in fact use a very similar design.
I saw your picture in the newspapers.
Even stranger is this maze isn't even designed by Saul Bass, but artist Juino Bourdouge, who had designed the movie poster for Kubrick's previous film, Barry Lyndon. Kubrick was always in control of the marketing of his films, and this ad ran in the paper near where he lived in the UK, so... weird. Sketch number 2.
Looks like a science fiction film, hard to read, even at this size.
Sketch number 3.
Hand and bike are too irrelevant. Title looks bad, small. Looks like ink didn't take on the part that goes light.
It's unfortunate that Kubrick didn't seem to appreciate what Bass was going for with this title treatment, allowing the absence of dots near the center to depict a light shining on the title itself, a literal shining, if you will. Or he did get it, but considered absolute legibility to be way more important. Sketch number 4.
Maze too abstract and too much emphasis on the maze.
And finally, sketch number 5.
Don't like artwork. Hotel looks peculiar. Also, artwork too spread out, too sprawling, not compact enough. I don't like the dots for the logo. It will not look good small. Even the size above is difficult to read, hard to read.
In his note, Kubrick mentioned a face version that Bass had apparently shown him in person.
By the way, what happened to the face version, which you showed me in London?
The first hardcover edition of Stephen King's The Shining featured a sort of floating head collage on the cover, and whoever designed this really wanted Warren Beatty to star in the film. The paperback version featured the blank face of Danny Torrance on the cover. It's possible that Bass had taken inspiration from this cover, and on October 15th, 5 days after receiving Kubrick's feedback, Bass sent several new designs, along with the following note.
Dear Stanley, here's the new material. I've tried various treatments of the head. I showed each head version reduced to the full column size and one lettering configuration. I think it's looking good. Call me when you've had a chance to look at them. Best regards, Saul.
So here we start to see the movie poster design fully take shape, the face peering back in terror contained within the title. Bass later gave an interview to Stanley Kubrick's autobiographer and had this to say about working with him.
It was a hell of an experience. Stanley was obsessive about what he was aiming at. While it drove me nuts, I deeply respected it because that's the way I treat everybody who works for me. That took a lot of doing. Stanley pushed me very, very hard. I did 300 drawings. Some of them were terrific.
Over 300 drawings, that's insane. A handful of these alternate designs have also been released to the public, with most featuring Danny in mid-scream, sometimes being clutched by his father Jack. A lot of them elicited comparison to Edvard Munch's 1893 pastel The Scream, a visceral image of terror and despair, fitting for a film like The Shining. The final background color chosen was yellow, because according to Kubrick,
If you look at danger and traffic signals pretty much everywhere in the world, black and yellow signify something. It's authoritative. It says, whoa, stop, just a minute.
there is evidence to suggest that Bass preferred a red background
How do you like it?
and a different text treatment for the credits. Kubrick was apparently thrilled with this final result and told Warner Brothers chairman Ted Ashley,
I think it is one of the best film ads I've ever seen. It solves the eternal problem of trying to combine artwork with the title of the film.
so we've arrived at the final poster and the release of the film itself.
Whose face is that?
I think it is fair to say that the face is meant to represent child character Danny Torrance. He was represented on the paperback, in print ads for the book. He's a character in the book and the film that experiences real heart-wrenching terror, and it's visible on his face throughout. Another theory that is often put forward is this face represents Tony, Danny's imaginary friend that loves to speak through Danny's pointer finger and freak everyone the f*** out.
It's just like pictures in a book, Danny.
The face is contained within the T for Tony, and it's inside the T, like Tony is inside Danny's mind. And I suppose this is possible, though the face sort of spans the entirety of the. There are plenty of other theories about this movie poster, enough to make a sequel to the insane Room 237, a documentary about The Shining where people talk for 102 minutes about how Kubrick faked the moon landing, loves minotaurs, and this is his secret Holocaust movie. In short, Danny's eyes are from the elevators in the Overlook. If you squint really hard, the face turns into a teddy bear. Bat Boy is involved somehow, and Saul Bass traveled into the future and took direct inspiration from Dwight's CPR class in The Office.
Oh my God.
Look, the subjective nature of art leaves room for all interpretations. For me, looking at this movie poster, having it up in my living room, no, I don't think this is a particularly good movie poster. I cannot deny the pure genius of Saul Bass, his timeless work continuing on long after my name is forgotten, to say nothing of Kubrick and his undeniable talent. And the film itself, my God, it's unsettling, it seeps into your bones, while somehow being oddly funny.
Not by the hair on your chinny chin chin.
It is terrifying. It is enduring. It is inspiring. So when I think of this film, with all those colors and shapes and sounds, this is not what comes to mind. What does come to mind is this.
Here's Johnny!
Upon its initial Hollywood debut, The Shining got bad reviews, bad box office, bad word of mouth. Pauline Kael hated it, Stephen King hated it, and made his own shitty TV version years later.
If you want something done right, you ought to do it yourself.
Maybe people didn't love the fact that the film declared itself a masterpiece on its own poster. Kubrick went back to editing and trimmed the original ending, and as the film was being prepped for its international release, a new poster was created. Kubrick insisted that no on-set photography be used. It had to be an actual frame from the film itself. Let's see if we can match it up.
Here's Johnny!
Dubbed the Here's Johnny version of the poster, this is the image that I think of when I think of this film. The image of Jack crashing through the door while Wendy cowers in the corner is powerful. It's not subtle, there's no finesse. It's a f***ing axe through the door. Get out! Get the f*** out of there! No! It's interesting to consider that an entire generation grew up probably thinking the line, Here's Johnny, originated from this movie, and don't know that it's actually a reference to The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, which ran from 1962 until 1992.
Here's Johnny!
The Here's Johnny poster was also used for the VHS release, Laserdisc, DVD, and the Blu-ray.
You got a big surprise coming to you.
Check it out!
So what do you think of this movie poster? Does it do it for you? Are you a fan? Or do you prefer the timeless love story of Jack and Wendy? Are you old enough to remember seeing this movie in the theater? If so, what poster were they rocking? Mellow Yellow or Smashy Smashy? Let me know down below in those comments. I would love to hear from you, and hit that subscribe button if you think I've earned it. I'd really love to give a special shout out to J.W. Rinsler and Lee Unkrich for their comprehensive Taschen book about the making of The Shining. If you're a fan of this movie, you absolutely need to pick this thing up. It's well worth its weight in gold, and it's heavy as f***. Over on my Patreon, I'm going to be giving away this 4K copy of The Shining. If you have not seen this movie in 4K, it's incredible. It feels like a modern movie that happens to be set in 1980 Colorado. So check out my Patreon page for your chance to win this. I do a wheel spin and I ship worldwide, so check that out if you want to help out the channel.
The face speaks to me. It says, thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for watching, and remember, when it comes to movies and movie posters, there is so much to celebrate, and I can't wait to show you more.
How did you feel about the movie itself?
Well, I feel both ways. There are an awful lot of things about that movie that I think are flawless and beautiful and just marvelous. And then there are other times when I feel as though I'd given Stanley Kubrick a live grenade and he heroically threw his body on it.